Welcome to the RealTrending podcast, where we talk to the brightest minds in real estate about leadership, business growth, trends, and strategy. I'm your host, Tracey Velt, the Senior Director of Data and Content for HousingWire and RealTrends. And today I'd like to welcome Damian Eales. He is the CEO of Move, which operates Realtor.com. Damian joined Realtor.com in June after serving as an Executive Vice President and Global Head of Transformation for News Corp. So he's going to share his vision for Realtor.com and how he plans to transform the portal. So welcome, Damian.
Hi, Tracey. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation to be here.
Yeah, it's great talking to you. I missed you at Tom Ferry's Success Summit. I know Clayton called me and said, come into the green room. And I was interviewing someone, so I wasn't able to come in right when he was talking to you. So sorry I didn't get a chance to say hello.
No problem. It was an amazing event, actually. Just getting used to American real estate events. Yeah. They're big.
Oh, yes.
And the Tom Ferry event is bigger than most. That's for sure. It was amazing.
It was it was great. I really enjoyed myself. Talked to some really great people. So I want to just start. I have been in real estate as a journalist when Realtor.com was first started, and there was a ton of controversy. Is it going to replace the MLS? And then it became, I know NAR kind of formed it through their for-profit subsidiary, the Realtors Information Network. It recovered from the eventual sale to Move. You guys were like leading all of the portals for a long time. And then by 2011, kind of Zillow and Trulia started to overtake as the most visited site. I know that you have said that you're pissed off about that and that you are ready to change that. And so I wanted to, before we really talk about those strategic moves, I really wanted to find out, like, what excites you about the possibilities for Realtor.com coming up?
Oh, well, first of all, I've got to say that I'm lucky enough to be the custodian for one of the most important brands in the industry. I mean, the Realtor.com brand is synonymous with real estate, with residential real estate. And it's also synonymous with trust and authority. It gets that from the fact that it was the original search portal for real estate. Obviously formed all of those years ago in, as you said, 1994. It is, I think, synonymous with real estate to the same extent that Google is synonymous with search. And so having that asset at our disposal, I think, is a really exciting opportunity. And, yes, I did say on stage recently that it pisses me off to be number two. It really does. That being said, we are number one on a number of different measures, and one in particular is that we are the most trusted brand by real estate professionals. And so we've got to leverage that to our advantage. I'm also really excited, to be honest, because I work for, as much as I work within Realtor.com, we are part of a much bigger organisation called News Corp. And, there is so much that we can leverage from that association that will add a lot of value to our consumers and to our customers. News Corp in North America has 160 million unique audience. And of course, we own the majority stake in a company called REA, which operates realestate.com.au, perhaps the most successful digital real estate company globally. So there's so much that we're learning from our colleagues there. If we can leverage and harness the benefits of being in the News Corp family, we're going to get a lot done.
Yeah, and I want to go into detail about that in a little, a couple of questions down. But first, I want to talk about strategy, because you talked about at the Tom Ferry event, you talked about a 3-pronged strategy where it's grow audience, quality leads, and prepare for listings, which you've recently obviously launched a new product for that. So Can you go into a little more detail about what that strategy really means to agents and the real estate community?
Well, I guess like most of News Corp's businesses, everything starts with an audience, and we've developed great capabilities across all of our business units to establish and engage large scale audiences, and as I touched on it before, but News Corp brings a lot of value to the table that we can leverage for Realtor.com. I mentioned that number of 160 million uniques. Um, of those 160 million, 100 million of them don't access Realtor.com today. So getting hold of those customers is really important. There's a few different ways that we can do that. First is through leveraging the brands that comprise that audience, and some of our brands would be well-known household names, but when I talk to a lot of our customers, that they don't necessarily recognise that they are part of our family. So, Dow Jones, the Wall Street Journal, Market Watch, Barron's, all in that Dow Jones family, we can access the benefits of those brands. We also own the New York Post, obviously, which is not just a New York brand. It is a national and even a global news media brand. The fastest growing news media brand in the US is the Sun US, an offshoot from our UK business. Very fast growing, enormous opportunity to talk to their audience, which stretches right across this continent. And we've got other brands that, I didn't even realise we owned, that perhaps we can find ways to do business together. I often look at Bible Gateway. I don't know what the opportunity is there, but 8 million people are looking at that website every month, and there must be opportunities for us to work together. So our brands are really powerful brands. They're authoritative and trusted brands. How can we leverage media placement within those brands to drive audience back to Realtor.com? And how can we access and leverage our journalism, our capabilities to create new and engaging content to drive people back to Realtor.com? An example I use often in this regard is, a few weeks ago, I think it was Max Scherzer was traded from the Mets in New York down to Dallas for the Texas Rangers, and it was the biggest sports story of the day at the New York Post. Well, later that day, a couple of hours later, our team was writing stories about what houses Max should be looking at with his check that he received from the Texas Rangers when he gets down to Dallas. And that story really trafficked fantastically because we leveraged the traffic that was being generated from the New York Post. There are many, many, many opportunities for us to tie the two things together, and that's how we see ourselves improving audience. In terms of improving high quality leads, there's a few different ways that we can do that. First, we've got an advantage already insofar as our audience is more engaged, has a higher propensity to be looking to either buy or sell a house than the audience of any of our competitors. So translating audience into leads, we already have an advantage in that regard. But we think that we can improve that even more. For one, we have not only significant investment in artificial intelligence in our own business, but I'm trying to leverage what we're doing in REA in Australia and what we're doing more broadly in News Corp. How can we apply that science to our audience to ensure that we're getting a better quality lead for our customer? We're also doing it through how we're positioning our brand. If our brand is the most trusted brand by real estate professionals, more pros go to Realtor.com, we think we can translate that into more consumers going to Realtor.com. And in doing it, we think we'll bolster the brand of realtors themselves. So, there's a whole bunch of different ways that we can drive a more high intent audience into our business, which generates better quality leads. And you're right. The third was that I mentioned at Tom Ferry was we want more listings. And I think the mind and mood of realtors out there is turning to, yes, I've been a buyer's agent for my entire career, but now I need to start thinking about what listings I can grab. Very tough market at the moment. We're really locked into these high interest rates, but they will come down. Cycles turn, and when it does turn, that trickle of listings will turn into a torrent because there's been this pent up demand for such a long period of time. And I think that to that extent, our job is really to do our best to ensure that our agents are prepared for that. And we've done that through a new product called Listing Toolkit that we can talk more about later. But Listing Toolkit fundamentally gives our agents the opportunity to be seen by those customers who are coming to our site looking to list their house. And oftentimes it's those who are looking to buy. The majority of those who are looking to buy a house are also looking to sell a house. So we capture them.
Yeah, I love that. It's a total flywheel approach to, especially with your content, which is something we also leverage quite heavily here at Housing Wire and that. So
absolutely.
yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your listing toolkit. It's a new sell side product that you have. Can you give me a little more information about it and what you're hoping to really accomplish with the new product? What are some of the highlights that agents really need to understand about it?
Well, first and foremost, it's exciting because it's the first product that we've rolled out in some time, and certainly the first product since I've been in the company. So it's got a special place in my heart simply for that reason. But also, the mind and mood of realtors today is very much, and I think that's a little bit associated with that change in mind and mood. I think is a little associated with the various class actions that are occurring at the moment, concern about the future viability of a buying agent model. And I think it's fair to say that, some of our competitors really don't treat buyers agents with any respect for the professional value that they deliver to their customers. We do. But we recognise that change in mind and mood, and we want to make sure that we are well positioned to offer our customers a way to generate more listings. It's as simple as that. And so, our listing toolkit gives the opportunity to help clients prepare proposals for their customers to win their listing. We plug our listing agent toolkit into various different CRMs and cloud CMA as an example. We give our agents enhanced branding so that when we generate that audience of sellers, they are well positioned to promote their experience, their success in the local market, and to make the case to those consumers that they are best to list with, and then we connect the two parties. It's as simple as that. Since we did our soft launch actually with Tom and his community, we've had enormous success. We are signing up agents right around the country now, and I'm certain it's going to be a very successful product. We're very excited.
Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you.
And you talked about the commission lawsuits. I want to talk a little bit about that because there are all kinds of, we don't exactly know what's in the Remax or Anywhere settlement agreement, and they have not been approved yet. However, there is rumor that it'll be kind of a disengaging from NAR in that they will not require their brokers to be members of NAR, participate in the MLS. Again, this is somewhat of a rumor, what's in the settlement agreements, but I just wanted to know your thoughts, because the other rumor is that the portals are going to take over the role of an MLS, which of course is a little more difficult than I think people understand. But what are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, look, on the first part of that question, and then I'll come to the MLSs secondly. But on the first part of the question, I think it's dangerous to speculate on speculation, but I don't know how these lawsuits will play out. I come from a market where we don't really have buyers agents, and I can tell you, having bought homes in Australia over 30 years, it is I I missed the fact that I didn't have representation. It was nerve-wracking is an understatement when you know that you're only dealing with an agent who is representing the seller. There is nobody in your corner. There is nobody telling you the negatives of that property. There is only somebody telling you the positives of that property. There is nobody acting on your behalf to negotiate the right deal. There is only somebody acting on behalf of the seller who is trying to maximise their price. So I have in this role, I have an enormous respect for the professionalism and the capability that buyers agents bring to the table. Not all of our competitors think that the same way. Some call them fake agents. These are professionals who are fulfilling a very independent purpose for the end consumer. So I don't know how these cases will play out, but what I do know is that it is in the interests of Americans to have effective buyers agents providing that independent representation. In terms of the selling, the MLS side of that question, I don't see that occurring. Is the simple answer. Certainly not from Realtor.com. We were born of the industry. We stand alongside the industry. I've just come back from a conference where we had a number of our MLS partners there. We want to lean into the relationship with MLSs. We think that we can win together to help. Fundamentally, the customers of the MLS are our customers. We have a united purpose. We are both for the benefit of buyer and selling agents. We think that we can do a better job in adding value to those MLS relationships. We're doing some work on that at the moment. We're not really ready to talk too much more about it, but suffice is to say that we want to partner with the MLSs. There's speculation that others may well try and disintermediate the MLSs. That's not our game. It may well be the play of others.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more difficult than anyone, to disintermediate the MLSs. I don't know. It'll be interesting how this all ends up playing out. But to me, the MLSs offer just a more of a, I guess, authority or accuracy in what they're doing. It would be really hard. And I'm not saying that Realtor.com isn't accurate in what they have. I'm just saying that to take that cooperation and compensation out of it would be a really difficult move. So it'll be interesting how it all plays out. But
most of our relationships are direct with the MLSs, and where we have a direct, productive relationship, it typically works well for both parties. All of our competitors, I might add, are brokers. So Zillow is a broker, CoStar. They all operate using the IDX agreement, and we think that it is better that we are not a broker to that extent, and so we would much prefer a productive win-win relationship with MLSs. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah. The other thing is, you had mentioned, buyers agents as fake agents, but I don't know if people realize that most brokers do maybe 60% buy side to 40% sell side transactions. So, I think people make the assumption that it's all sell side, but it's actually more buy side than sell side on a traditional brokerage company. So
Absolutely. And look, I just have a fundamental belief. It's in my DNA that we're here to support and build and develop our customers. Uh, we are joined at the hip with our customers. Our success is when our customers grow. Now we've got work to do, I might add. We don't always make it easy for our customers to be successful, and we need to be much more empathetic. But we'll do that. We're making fantastic progress on that front, and there is a lot more to come. But I've got this brand that was born of the industry. It's by and for the industry. We're joined at the hip with the industry. That has to be to our great advantage. And I'm confident that if we improve our audience and if we can be more empathetic to the needs of our customers, we will gain a revenue share.
Absolutely. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk more personal. I always ask this question in every podcast because I find it fascinating. Most leaders and entrepreneurs, they kind of have these aha moments throughout their careers where they realize, oh, wait, I need to change things up. I need to do something differently. A lot of times there are multiple aha moments. But what is the aha moment that you've had that's made the greatest impact on your career in leadership?
Well, look, I think, I think when I was a younger leader, I probably was a little cynical to the term culture when referenced in terms of business. Maybe it's because I didn't fully understand it, and I didn't have a good definition of culture. And I think over the years I've studied and experimented and through trial and error, and I suppose I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how do I create a culture of high performance. How do I create an environment or circumstances? It strikes me that when you get your first management job, and mine was on the floor of a department store, and I might have been in charge of 10 people. When you've got 10 people, you can see them all. It's actually quite easy in hindsight to lead a team of 10 people because you know what everyone's doing and you can talk to them every hour of the day. And I think that as you get into bigger roles and 10 becomes 100 and 100 becomes 1,000, etc., culture for me is establishing circumstances by which people are pointing in the same direction when you're not looking, and when you're not in the same building, let alone the same city, let alone the same country, and that people are moving in that one direction. They're committed. They're delivering the best work of their career in the relatively short number of years they're probably working for you. You want them to be developed. You want them to look back and say, that's the time that I did the best work, the work that I was most proud of. And I think that the answer to that question then is a lot more complex, but how we give our people a very clear and dominant goal. For me, that is that I want to be number one in the industry, and that is a unifying and galvanizing purpose. It's going to take us time, obviously, but also giving people the reason and the meaning or the higher purpose for why we're going to ask them to put in an extra hour that they might not otherwise do. And again, I think that we have got unique purpose in our industry and in our business because putting people into a home has to be one of the most important decisions of a person's life, and the consequences of home ownership in terms of economic prosperity are enormous. So I really think that playing a role in that value chain, I think, is uniquely purposeful. And on our customer side, on our consumer side. On our customer side, I feel quite a responsibility to ensure that our customers can, in many respects, survive at a time like now. If at our peak there were 6 million homes being sold in the US and now it's 4 million, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of realtors who are really hurting right now, and we have a job to do to ensure that they can survive. And indeed, we have a lot of customers who desire significant growth, and we have an obligation to help them grow, empower their growth. And I also think that that's a really purposeful role that we play. So, there's a whole lot more to creating a high-performance culture in my mind, but it's something that I feel like I've been studying for 30 years across my career. I'm sure I haven't perfected it, but I'd like to think that we're getting better and better.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me into my next question. You said you've been studying it. So where do you look for inspiration and motivation? What leaders do you follow? Are there any podcast books that you particularly really have learned a lot or enjoyed?
You'll be pleased to know that I'm a very big podcast fan. I listen to podcasts every single day, and when I guess my favourite podcasts or authors, I listen to a lot of Scott Galloway, Prof G. He's a very smart guy who I've got a lot out of over many years. Both his books and his podcast is just fantastic. I love anything to do with media and technology. Recode Media by Peter Kafka is fantastic, and actually Founders is a great podcast. The Tim Ferriss podcast I love, listen to it all the time. I'm also a real fan of politics, believe it or not, and you wouldn't know it, but American politics is a very big genre in journalism in Australia as well. And but having been in New York for the last 2 years and now in Austin, I'm fascinated by American politics, and the greatest, I think one of the best podcasts in that genre for me is the Potomac. How do you pronounce Potomac in Washington DC?
Potomac.
Potomac, the Potomac Watch. Potomac Watch by the team at the Wall Street Journal opinion pages is an outstanding podcast as well.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that one. I'll have to check it out because I think our political genre or landscape right now is really really interesting and evolving. So definitely,
we live in interesting times.
Oh, we do. My final question is just, what does the future hold for Realtor.com?
I'm probably recapping it. It touches on a lot of the things I've already said, but number one, we have an amazing brand and we have an amazing relationship with both consumers and our customers. Our customers want us to win, and I'm confident that if we can, number one, grow our audience, which we've already begun to do, and by the way, we'll leverage the News Corp network to do that. If we can improve how we service our customers, we've begun to do that. If we can generate more leads, and we're turning significant attention now to the listing side of that marketplace and turning a lot of our audience to that side, I'm very confident that if we can get those things right, lean into the industry, not away from it, work with our partners, not against them, I'm very confident that we'll grow our revenue share. That's our objective. My brief is to grow this business, and that's what we're going to do.
Well, Damian, thank you so much for joining the RealTrending podcast. I am super excited to see where Realtor.com goes with your leadership, and I will definitely be following closely. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for the opportunity, Tracey. I really appreciate it.